Hey, this is Sarah from sarahdesign.com, and I wanted to walk you through a fun project today. I got in touch with a designer over at Sofancy. This is her shop. It's called Claire and Elise. Super cute. And she very kindly has shared this cut file with me to use for this little tutorial today. So you guys should definitely check her out. It's over at sofancy.com/vendor/Claire and Elise, or you can just go up into the designers section and look for her there. She has this big ampersand as her logo. But I would like to show you how to use this cut file in one of my mock-ups. So I went ahead and I grabbed my background scene creator and I created a custom background that I thought would be sort of suitable for Valentine's Day. And I'm just going to go ahead and save that out because, you know what, I'm going to give this to you as a freebie today. So let's call this background grapes. We'll save it to my desktop. Call it freebie. Background grapes. Okay. All right, so then we're going to work on that background grapes file and only there. You grab that. Here it is. Just going to drag it into Photoshop. Fresh. Okay, here we are. If I open up my layers palette, which is right over here, it's docked on the side, but you could also get it by going up to Window, Layers. You can see that it's just a simple flat background. Now I'm going to put my champagne flute in here. So let me grab that file. That's right here. Now if I go up to Window, Arrange, to up vertical, I can see the two files next to one another. So if I go over to the champagne flute and I go into the layers, you can see that it's made up of a bunch of different layers here, shadows and things, and the actual champagne and the smart object. I want to grab them all together, but I don't want it to get messy, so I'm just going to shift. I clicked on the top, I'm going to shift, click on the bottom, so all of these are selected. I'm going to hit this little folder and call it champagne flute. Okay, just so it's neat and tidy, and then I'll drag it over into our grapes file. Then we're going to go up to View or Window, Arrange, Consolidate all tabs, and then it will just be in there by itself. Now, my background file is kind of huge, and some of my glassware in my shop is small in comparison, and that's totally okay. You could definitely just crop this smaller if you wanted, or you could go ahead and try to make the glassware a little bit bigger. At some point, if you make it too big, it's gonna show in a loss of quality, but I was testing this out earlier and it didn't look too bad at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it just a little bit bigger. I will be remaking these mock-ups in my shop, and anybody who's purchased them will have access to the new one. I'll be reshooting the photos and getting them at, at a larger size to begin with, but for now, this actually still works really, really well. Okay, so there's the design. Now, if I want to put that cute Valentine cut file from the Claire and Elise shop, this Hug Me, onto the glass, that's going to go into this Smart Object layer where it says Double Click Me. So I'm going to double click that. It opens up a new tab, which is a layer. It says layer24.psb. I'm actually going to go and close this other file, so I only have two files open. Okay. So all I'll have to do is turn off your design here and paste in the new design. So if I just did that and I went back here, nothing has changed. You can see there's an asterisk up here, which means I have to hit save for anything to show up in the original file. So we hit save, and I go back and you can see that it doesn't say anything on it anymore because I hid that layer and I hit save over here in the Smart Object tab. So let's grab our cut file. I have that here. What I like to do is just grab it, and there's two ways you could bring it in. You can either pull it into Photoshop and it opens in a new window, and then you could hit select all, edit, copy, and then edit, paste, and it comes in nice and big, so big that you only see a corner of it. Or you can also try just dragging it in like this, and that generally will make it come in small. Your choice about how you want to do it. I generally like to come in a little big. Then I have the option of making it stretch from side to side, but this way is good too. So actually, let's go ahead and stick with that. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit by hitting Command plus. I'm on a Mac, and go back up to my little hug me layer. I'm going to make this smaller because I know that that fits the space better. So I just hit Command T for transform. I'm holding Shift. That constrains it so it doesn't get all bent out of shape. And if I hold Option 2, it actually shrinks it like toward the middle, which is handy. It looks bumpy, but that's only because we are in the middle of shrinking it. Okay, and I'm going to hit Save. We can close the original one, go into our file, and I see, oh, you know what, actually I wanted it a tiny bit bigger, so let's go back. Now, one thing to note is when I dragged it in, it came in as a smart object. That means even though I made it small, I can make it big again, and it won't lose any quality unless I start making it bigger than it was when I first dragged it in, if that makes sense. So I just did that transform again, I made it bigger. I'm going to hit Save with my keyboard commands, and there it is on my file. Alrighty, so that's looking pretty good. Now if I wanted to add color to this, the easiest way to do that is to go over to the same layer that we have selected, which is that layer, and then we'll go down and we'll click this FX, the bottom of the layers palette, and click on Color Overlay. And then whatever color is in here is what color it's going to be. So it could be black, it could be white. You could sample some color from the background. You could sample that color and just make it lighter. Really what you're going to be doing in reality is, unless it's an etching, you're going to be trying to match the color of the vinyl that you're putting on here. Or if you're painting it or dipping it in some way, you would try and match that color, and you just kind of eyeball it, do your best. But this one looks pretty good, I think, in kind of a pink. So I'm going to hit OK and OK again. If you feel like it looks kind of fakey, you can always turn down the opacity a little bit. If I turn it down too far, it looks like this. But if I just go down to like 86, that looks pretty good. Another thing you could do is leave it at 100, but go on the whole champagne flute layer and turn that opacity down a tiny bit. Kind of makes it fit into the scene better, but you don't want it to look invisible either. And there you go. So one thing I really love about purchasing cut files like we have over here in the Claire and Elise shop is that you don't have to go through the steps of taking a photo of your design in Silhouette and then bringing it into Photoshop and cutting out the background before laying it on here. And I think that that is extremely convenient. Plus, you don't have to spend time designing, so it's a win-win. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Happy selling!